Sports brings you football action you need. Season 2025-2026. MR.LOKOL. Starting August 15th, La Liga, Bundesliga, Saudi Pro, Carabao Cup, and our own StarTimes UPL returns only on StarTimes. Subscribe to StarTimes Classico Smart Bouquet at only 36,000 shillings monthly to watch live on World Football Channel and Sanyuka Prime for Luganda commentary. StarTimes Football. Kubeida Isi.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
A very good evening to you, dear viewer. This is West Nile TV, and you are most welcome to a very special edition of the talk show this evening. And it is Wednesday, and just so you know, and today is the 3rd of December 2025, and we will speedily and at a very high speed counting down to the end of the year. And I do hope that you are staying safe. This evening, I have guests from Ministry of Education and Sports, and we will be talking about school feeding program. And specifically, I have Mr. Abele Joseph. He's the liaison officer, school feeding program from Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education and Sports. I beg your pardon. And you're most welcome, gentlemen, to the studios of West Nile TV.
Yeah, thank you, viewers. I'm Abele Joseph from Ministry of Education, as my colleague has said. It's nice being here in the West Nile, in Arua City, to share with you issues around expansion of the school feeding program to the West Nile region. All
right, you've heard it, you've heard the voice and the person who is going to be discussing this with me this evening. My name is Opingopi Yusuf Andabati. I'm going to be your host, and please do have a date with us because we're going up to 9 p.m. This very evening. So I want to once again thank you so much for joining us today. And can you start by telling us and also the audience what brings you and also the ministry to West Nile region to discuss school feeding program?
Yeah, thank you, Yusuf. The Ministry of Education and Sports, together with the World Food Program, were here in August. In the month of August, we visited a number of local governments in West Nile as part of a scooping mission to understand what we are doing to feed our children. As a result of that mission, we are now making a follow-up mission because government and the partners have taken a decision to expand the provision of school meals to the West Nile region. West Nile has been chosen because it is possible to do different models of school feeding in the West Nile region. West Nile region can experience and share the successful programs that have worked elsewhere in the country. We think that as government and partners, we should be able to work with the local authorities to deliver a sustainable school feeding program in the West Nile. So today, we'd like to share with you programs that have worked elsewhere and what we think we can do together with you in the West Nile region.
Okay, so many of our viewers may not be familiar with, you know, the homegrown school feeding program that we may be talking about. So can you kindly try to explain what this model is and also why it's being considered for West Nile region?
Yes, Yusuf, African Union, under the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, has designed a model of school feeding called a homegrown school feeding model. This is a model that brings education, nutrition, and agriculture together. Under the homegrown school feeding model, the food is not brought from outside. Okay. The food is grown by our local farmers. It is purchased from the local farmers and used to feed our children. That's why it is called homegrown. Okay. It's also homegrown because the money that is used for school feeding goes to the local communities to improve their livelihoods. So the children will be receiving a nutritious meal, eating organic local foods, which helps them to grow and learn better. Our farmers will be growing the food and they sell it to the schools and they receive the money. And the money will stay in the local economy. You don't need to go to buy food from other countries. That's why it's called homegrown.
Okay.
So the food will be bought locally. The money will go to the local market. Even if his parents contributing money, that money will come back to the parents because they will be selling the food to the children. For the West Nile, this is a perfect model because we know this region has a strong agricultural base. We should be able to feed our children in the West Nile region.
Okay, this sounds very interesting. So we are aware that this might have happened in other parts of the country because we've had this before and Karamoja has done this. So what experience did Karamoja get out of this where this program has been running? Can you be able to explain that to us and also see how this is possible here?
Yes, viewers, as you all know, Karamoja is a food deficit region. It has suffered from a number of famine and droughts, and that made it possible for the donors and government of Uganda to introduce a sustainable program of feeding in Karamoja. It first started with the food coming from outside. We would get donations in terms of food in kind that was used in the schools. But 15 years ago, government and the partners took a decision and they started to think about the homegrown school feeding model. Under this model, WFP currently provides food to 320 schools in Karamoja.
320?
Yes, and in those schools we have over 255,000 children eating a hot meal every day. And this is about 78% of the schools in the Karamoja sub-region. As a result of this food, school enrollment has increased by 16% since 2023. Attendance has increased from 57% to 71%, which is an impressive improvement. And girls particularly have stayed in school. The dropout rates for girls has been minimal. But what is more relevant for the West Nile region is an initiative which was started by government called Karamoja Feeds Karamoja.
Karamoja Feeds Karamoja. Okay.
And that means then we are not depending on food which is imported from outside Karamoja or outside Uganda. Under this program, for example, in 2024, the program purchased 3,484 metric tons of cereals and pulses from the local Karamoja farmers.
Wow.
This is valued at US dollars 1.9 million. We are talking about
1.9 million US dollars.
Yes, we are talking
sunk
about
into
the local economy.
Yes.
We are talking about 7.3 billion shillings in 1 year coming through the school feeding program. And 67% of the people who supply food to the school feeding program are women.
Okay.
So the program is empowering mothers through selling food to the program. Farmers have got a guaranteed market. Children eat throughout the year.
So that means you can do whatever you do in your farm.
You know
there
that
is
there's somebody there who will come. You are sure we have stable incomes because
Yes.
there is money to buy the food. And therefore it has led to increased production. Actually now the food which is produced by our farm organizations, much of it is bought by outsiders. Our farmers now produce quality food, which the program buys some and excess is sold to other farmers. And this is the type of thinking that we want to bring to the West Nile sub-region, where our farmers will be able to produce quality food. Part of it will be bought by our schools. The other good quality food will be bought by the rest of the consumers. So that's the homegrown school model. We don't bring food from outside. Our farmers produce the food, they organize themselves, and then the schools buy the food from the farmers.
Karamoja, feed Karamoja. So now we can say West Nile.
Yes, and that is our thing. We'll be talking about it in part of this.
Okay, all right. It's very impressive for me, and that's why I'm jumping into it. And you know, those are really, really good results that you're talking about here. So beyond Karamoja,
Yes,
I do understand that there in other parts of the country, say for example, central Uganda, then southwestern Uganda, there has been the issue of the parent-led that has been happening there. So what lessons have you learned from those parts, which probably can be even inculcated here?
yes, parent-led, unlike the homegrown school model, is a parent-managed and organized system of feeding children. What happens under the parent-led model is that parents organize themselves, they contribute, and they manage the program. Under the homegrown school feeding model, you see there is money coming in, there is buying food and bringing food to the schools. But under the parent-led model, it's the parents who organize themselves. We are having this program running, for example, in the southwestern Uganda. SNV Netherlands is supporting the parent-led model. In Gulu, our neighbors here, they have the parent-led model. And also in other parts of southwestern Uganda. In this type of model, the communities own the program.
Okay.
It is a community program. The parents contribute what they can. They can agree to contribute cash, for example, for schools to buy food. They can also decide to contribute food in kind. You can say, okay, for us, parents of Leiko Primary School, we are going to be contributing maize, we can contribute cassava flour, we can produce, we can contribute beans,
maize
we
flour,
can produce
whatever.
silver fish, whatever you agree. And then that is brought to the schools, and the schools prepare the meals for our children. So that's why it is called parent-led, because it is a contribution of parents, but it's also managed by the parents through the school management committees. There can also be support from partners. The parents might contribute food, and then you have the partners, for example, providing us cooking utensils. The partner can build us a store. The partner can build us a kitchen. The things that we need to have the meals running. The beauty of this program is that, one, communities own the program, and it is more sustainable. You know, unlike in a situation where you are getting food from donors, and then one day they say there's no money.
There's no money.
Under the parent model, you own it and you sustain it. Also, there is a lot of parents' involvement. The parents will be able to link the relationship between children eating and their interest in going to school and their learning and performance. And we promote the consumption of local foods. If people in West Nile eat cassava and sorghum, it can be eaten at school. And we know those local foods, they are very nutritious, they are organic, they don't have a lot of harmful components. And so the lessons that we learned from Karamoja and those from the parent-led model is what we think that we should begin to discuss with the communities in the West Nile region, so that we can agree on the model that suits. It's not one size fits all. You might find in certain communities they will go for homegrown school feeding model. In some communities they might go for parent-led and say, no, for us you don't have the money to pay, we are going to contribute food in kind. And that is called the hybrid model.
Okay.
But
but looking at West Nile region, which model is being considered? And so why would a homegrown approach be beneficial or appropriate for this region specifically?
Yes, we are looking at the homegrown school model being suitable for West Nile because of its multiplier benefits. You know, it boosts production, it brings in the market, it encourages people to get income. Instead of relying, for example, on external support, we think that the West Nile's strong agricultural base is an opportunity for us to promote farming and supply of food. West Nile produces a variety of crops. You have the cereals, you have the pulses, you have the vegetables, you have the fruits. And these are all the things that our children need in school. They can be part of the homegrown school feeding model. But we would like to do it because it creates economic benefits. You know, instead of contributing food and that is it, by the time you give cash and they come and buy food from you, the money has actually come back to the economy. And so it has that multiplier effect. This region has so many farmer groups, and we would like to take advantage of these groups. They are cooperatives, they are farmer groups, and they can form themselves, they bulk the food, and then the schools buy from the cooperative societies. And because the schools are close to the communities, it is possible for our children even to eat fresh foods. Yes, it is easier to supply fresh foods to the schools. You cut the cost of transport. Sometimes we are going, schools come from Terego, they come from Moyo after Arua to buy posho.
That's
But if we promote the homegrown school model, the parents from there will be the ones supplying the food, so you cut out the cost of transport. More importantly, we shall be building the capacity of the local people to produce more, to meet the quality standards that are required, and reduce, think about dependency. We will not develop our country if we think that we will be depending on our donor support.
Okay, so now let's talk about the economic benefit of all this. How would the homegrown feeding program impact, one, the farmers and also the local communities within West Nile region? Just besides feeding their children, you know, keeping the girl child and the boy child in school, besides that, what would be other benefits?
Yes, Yusuf, there is scientific evidence that if you put 1 shilling to feed the child, at the end of the education cycle of that child, you will get 9 shillings back. Okay. That is scientific evidence. But for the farmers in West Nile, the homegrown school model will ensure that there is guaranteed market for the crops. We are sure that schools will consistently be buying the food. There will be fair negotiations of prices, because now it's going to be the school management committees with the farm organizations. If the farmers form themselves into groups, it is easier to bargain and negotiate as a group than possibly as an individual.
As an individual.
So forming farm organizations is part of the benefit that comes with this.
So that means you're encouraging farmers to form cooperatives?
Cooperatives, farm organizations, and then they can bulk food around the schools, and the schools will buy the food from them. There is going to be predictable income that allows planning and investment. You are sure that next time I will sell this amount of food and get this amount of income. And because of assured market, there will be a tendency to increase to produce more and more food. And then for women, for our mothers, there will be a lot of opportunities for women farmers to gain economic independence. That is for the farmers. But beyond the farmers, school feeding creates jobs. For example, there will be need for transport, there will be need for storage, there will be need for processing. People who have grinding machines will get jobs. Even cooks, there will be jobs for cooks.
That's true.
The local businesses benefit from the homegrown school feeding model because the money that goes to the economy empowers them to buy more. But also school feeding will need non-food items. For example, you need saucepans, you need plates, you need the jerry cans. You need, for example, cooking oil. You cannot grow cooking oil in the villages. You need salt, you need, spices, you need sugar. So as we do the contributions, the homegrown model, there are other things that definitely the traders and the local communities will be supplying. In the course of doing this, the wider community will also benefit from skills. The program will come with a component to support skilling. Okay. For example, post-harvest management. How do we ensure that there are no food wastes? How do we ensure that our children are not poisoned? Quality.
So this will specifically target the farmers
and the farm organization, yes.
Okay.
We'll be looking at quality standards. We'll bring in UNBS. UNBS will look at how do we store our food, how do we process our food. For those organizations that meet the standards, they'll be given a certificate, a Q mark. They'll be given a quality mark certificate so that it will be branded and this product has been approved by government of Uganda.
So that they can even be supplying anywhere.
Now you have a quality mark from UNBS. And then we really want to strengthen the farmers. We don't want to deal with individual farmers. We want our people to work under the cooperatives model and farm organizations so that this can work with the schools. In the case of Karamoja, for example, the farmers receive a lot of money. This 7.3 billion shillings was just given to 10 farm organizations.
7.6 billion.
7.3 to 10.
Okay.
So an average of 731 million.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money per farm organization. So this is the type of transformation that we think is possible in the Western Nile region.
So if I may understand, just to get back on that a little bit, on the money and the figure there. So does it mean the money will be given to the farm organizations and not the school? Make me understand that clearly.
We will see the mechanisms for implementation. What we are testing in Karamoja now is to build the capacity of the schools so that under the decentralized procurement model, the schools will be given money
to be able to purchase.
And the school management committee will establish a contracts committee that will purchase the food from the farmers.
Okay.
Also, where we are still building systems, in Karamoja we have been using the World Food Program. The World Food Program will be working with the farmers, and the farmers will bulk, and World Food will come and buy the food from the farmers and then deliver it to the schools. So we are piloting to see how we can use the decentralized system because it is less expensive. You cut away the logistics of having big warehouses. A school becomes a warehouse. So that's what we are thinking we can do. And those are capacities that we think we can build in our communities.
Okay. All right. Agriculture, is very, very key, especially for West Nile and also other parts of this country. So what crops do you think our local farmers can be able to supply to schools? And also would this create new market for the farmers and also for the communities?
Yes, we are looking at the potential of diverse food production in the West Nile. Definitely when you drive from Pakwach and you go all along through Yombe up to Moyo, you will really see diverse crops. But for purposes of schools, we will be looking at staple crops. For example, maize. For the posho, we'll be looking at the beans, the various varieties of beans. Also, West Nile has started to grow rice. So we are also looking at rice as one of the staple crops. And then, of course, the groundnuts because of its high nutrient value. And then we have the sorghum, we have the millet, we have the cassava. These are some of the commodities that we are looking at as the staple crops that we can get from the West Nile. But we'll also be targeting nutritious additional crops. For example, we are interested in the orange flesh sweet potato. This is a very rich vitamin A tuber that we think can be promoted here. And also we are looking at vegetables. We're looking at sukuma wiki. We are looking at cabbages, tomatoes, onions. You know, these are specific nutrients and minerals that our children require. There are a lot of fruits in the West Nile region, and this is a part of the school meal that our children can do. Children can have a cup of porridge plus a mango. You know, it's good, it's nutritious enough. And then we are also
somebody will say, I can get mango from anywhere. Not in school.
Not in school. And you find a lot of mangoes rotting on the road, but the parents cannot even contribute them to the school.
Exactly.
And children come and pick the rotten ones that drop when they come out for lunch.
Yes.
So for our traders, we are also looking at animal protein. Particularly, we are targeting the silverfish.
Okay.
In some languages, they call it mukene, lachere, and whatever.
Engengia,
yes.
Like that, yes.
That is also going to be a requirement because we need our children to access animal proteins. We need vegetable oil, we need sugar, we need utensils, we need firewood. So there are a number of things that our people should look at. We know that school feeding creates an year-round market because children will be in the school from February to December. So the whole year there will be requirement for these commodities. Every day of the school day, children will need to eat, and farmers can plan their planting. You know, you no longer plant just for eating. You can plant now knowing even in December there's going to be
crop
demand.
Will become a commercial crop now.
And because of this, we shall encourage diversification because we don't need our children to be eating monotonous meal. Yeah, we can promote diversification, especially of the local crops. Let our children eat the millet. Let them eat the sorghum. Let them eat the cassava. It's not that when you are in school, you change from what you eat at home. And finally, we want to create a stable market for our farmers. Yeah.
Okay. In a way, you're going to flood schools with the children. They will not want to remain at home. They will want to remain in school. Would this be, you know, having other effects as well? But we will discuss that at an appropriate time.
Yes.
So what about nutrition? Many children in West Nile face malnutrition. Not only in West Nile, but even, say, northern Uganda. So how would the school feeding program address this specifically?
Yes, malnutrition is a common phenomenon. But malnutrition is also not about how much food. Some of the malnutrition is caused because our people are eating less. But the biggest cause of malnutrition is the quality of the diet. Is the diversity of the diet. Sometimes we call it balanced diet. Are our children actually eating a balanced diet? At home, people sometimes eat the same type of food, and so you are only getting a small portion of the nutrients you need. So the program is going to encourage each school to have a school feeding menu, where you will say on Monday for breakfast, the children will eat this. On Tuesday for breakfast, they will eat this. On Wednesday for lunch, they will eat this. So such that we cover a variety of nutrients that our children require. The schools will provide regular balanced nutritional foods, and because if our children eat nutritious food, we expect them to perform better, we expect them to concentrate, and their immunity to be developed. We will promote vitamin A rich orange flesh sweet potato, which prevents a number of micronutrient challenges. And we know that well-fed children will participate actively in out-of-class activities. And of course, there are a lot of nutritional benefits. If our children get nutrition education, they will take those values to their homes. And then we will really emphasize on children not eating a lot of unhealthy foods. You know, there are a lot of foods with a lot of sugar, with a lot of oil. And already we are beginning to have cases of obesity. So part of this program will be to do nutrition education for the learners and also for the communities on what types of foods are really good for our children.
Okay, you made mention of orange-fleshed sweet potatoes in Karamoja. Could West Nile farmers also benefit from such nutritious crops and how?
Absolutely. I travel a lot to the West Nile, and in every small center, you find there small heaps of potatoes. Sometimes I buy and break and see whether it is an orange flesh sweet potato. We would really want to introduce the orange flesh sweet potato because of its nutritional value, but also because of its taste, and it can be a very big source of food for the schools.
Okay.
In Karamoja, for example, we have produced the orange flesh sweet potato in 83 schools. And those schools produce a lot.
Okay.
I can tell you, in one of the primary schools in Akapripriti district, the school was able to sell the excess potatoes, and they generated Uganda shillings 63 million shillings.
Wow.
Just from only sweet potato.
So instead of the school buying,
Yes.
the school also grows and then
can
sells
sell
the excess
to
other schools.
To other schools. And then you can get the money, you can eat meat if you want, you can buy a goat if you want. So these orange flesh sweet potato is so rich in vitamin A. It is drought resistant. Sometimes you have those issues, and children love the taste. I also love the taste. It's a nice thing. So we will support schools to establish demonstration gardens where students can learn how to plant this orange sweet potato. They can carry some of the vines home. They can go and plant in the communities. And we promise that the West Nile farmers will access the orange flesh sweet potatoes or planting material, so that it can go to the communities and we make money out of it. So the orange flesh sweet potato comes in as a nutritional solution, but also a source of income.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe just a quick one before we go for a break. There are aspects where schools don't have school gardens, or they don't have enough land. Say, for example, schools in urban centers. Can this be able to improvise and say they hire gardens and do this and stuff like that? Do you think that can be a possibility?
Yes, I visited schools in the city. I visited the schools in Koboko. I went to Nur Islamic Primary School. I went to Arua Hill to see how they are coping. There are challenges with having land within the vicinity of the school. There are three things we can do. One, there are technologies for urban farming, which can be done in the schools in the urban areas. But it's also possible for schools that are located in where there is their land stress to be able to hire land outside.
Okay.
I mean, if there is land in Vora, for example, you can go there and have a school garden there. Or you can even buy land and establish a school farm. In some of the schools that we have been working in Karamoja, secondary schools, for example, are both land outside the urban centers, and they produce a lot of their own food. So that is possible.
Okay.
So we can either do urban technologies, we can hire land, or we can just purchase land for a school farm.
Okay. All right. Just a quick one, maybe before we go for a break. The aspect of climate change.
Yeah.
It affects our region so much. You don't know when the rains will come. You don't know when the rains will end. So how does the homegrown, model help schools and communities to become more sustainable and also to maneuver this unpredictable weather pattern?
Yes, it's an established fact that school feeding consumes a lot of fuel wood, worsening the climatic condition. We are aware about this, and what we are doing is, one, we will support the introduction of improved energy saving stops.
Okay.
These stops reduce fuel wood consumption by even up to 50%. So instead of having 10 trucks, for example, delivering wood to a primary school in a town, we'll be able to reduce this to 5. So you are cutting on the fuel wood consumption, but also cutting on the costs. So that is one of the things that we would like to do. But we also want to have school gardens where our children are taught on water conservation technologies and sustainable farming. So this will be part of the aspects of this program. We will promote tree planting. Schools can have a school garden, but also have a woodlot. The woodlot will influence the environment, but will also provide the fuel wood that we need for our schools. We shall ensure that the crops are diversified. If the maize has failed, possibly the potatoes and the cassava will survive. So we'll look at diversification of the crops that our children are growing. And we like to produce learners that tomorrow will be leaders who manage climate. So knowledge, skills, and training on climate awareness, climate mitigation is going to be part of our program.
Okay. All right. Dear viewer, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be diving deep into the discussion. We're talking about school feeding program and with specific interest to West Nile. This has been tested somewhere already in Karamoja. It's already happening in northern Uganda, in Acholi sub-region. But West Nile can be able to do this, and we can be able to embrace this project as well, so that our children can remain in school, our children can feed from school, and at the same time, as a farmer, as a parent, and even as a school management committee, you can be able to reap from this project. Let's take a break, and we'll be coming right back.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Yamal, Hurricane, Cristiano Ronaldo, Victor Gyökeres, and MR.LOKOL.
It's Mbappe coming on and scoring!
From the Pearl of Africa to the heart of Spain, StarTimes brings you football action you need. Season 2025-2026. Starting August 15th, La Liga, Bundesliga, Saudi Pro, Carabao Cup, and our own StarTimes UPL returns only on StarTimes. Subscribe to StarTimes Classico Smart Bouquet at only 36,000 shillings monthly to watch live on World Football Channel and Sanyuka Prime for Luganda commentary. StarTimes Football. Kubeida Isi.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break. It is happening here on West Nile TV, a very special edition of a talk show. This evening, we're having guests from the Ministry of Education and Sports, and specifically is the liaison officer for school feeding program in the ministry, and this that is none other than Mr. Abele Joseph, and we're having a discussion on how this can be inculcated in West Nile region. And just during the break, and you saw a video there where they are feeding children. Children are serving, food, and they're being given bottles of soda and stuff like that. So that is happening in Western Uganda, and the same can be inculcated here. And this is basically what we are discussing this very evening. And so back to you, my guest, the parents.
Yeah.
What can they get out of this? What would this program mean for a parent? Say, for example, if I have my child in a primary school, what would this mean for me and for my child and for my family?
Yes, Yusuf, for a parent, the school meals program means that your child is guaranteed of a hot meal in a day at school. So you will not have challenges of the child, staying for 8-9 hours in the school hungry. So this program means that at least there's one guaranteed nutritious meal every school day for a child. It also means that the cost of feeding the child is reduced. So instead of struggling to see what to pack for the child to take home or to prepare lunch for the child at home, this program means that the child will have food at school as a safety net. It also means that the children will be interested in school and will be attending school regularly. When our children attend school regularly...
That's true. I saw from the line.
Yeah, the line of people here.
The line was very long.
Instead of coming home and looking for mangoes, at the school you are sure you will line and get your food.
Yes.
So there will be regular attendance. And once children regularly attend, there are chances that they will be able to attend and concentrate in their learning.
Yeah.
It also means that it's better nutrition. If we manage it very well, manage the menu very well, then our children can access nutritious meals at school. For girls particularly, we'll be able to reduce the dropout rates. Yusuf, I can tell you some of our girls have become pregnant because somebody just offered a chapati.
Exactly.
And you end up messed up. But if we have a meal at school, then we'll be able to minimize some of the reasons for dropout. If our children get good health at school, then the families have minimal medical expenses. Some of the sicknesses are associated with nutritional deficiency. If our children can eat well at school, then they will have the immunity to fight the diseases. Parents will have peace of mind. At least my child has gone to school, will eat and come in the evening, okay. But if there is no food at school, you even wonder whether the child has actually gone to school. Might have gone to ant. In Karamaja, sometimes the children go to ant rats. In the past, that's used to happen. Instead of going to school, they are in the bush hunting, looking for mangoes and looking for potatoes. So if you are sure of a meal at school, then you have peace of mind that at least my child is at school. So those are some of the immediate benefits. But we'll be building human capital. We'll be having children who are learning because they have something to eat at school. Yeah.
Won't this create more worries for the parents? Say, for example, during holidays. During school time, I am comfortable that my child is feeding at school. But now this brings more burden for me during holidays or even over the weekends.
Yes, you see, when we are talking about the parent-led model, we said it's the parents contributing either food in kind or money to prepare food in the school. Now, what that model means is that the food the child should have been eating at home for lunch is the same food that you have taken to school for the child to eat, so that you don't have the burden to prepare. And that will imply that part of the food is given to the schools to prepare, but the household should be able, for example, to prepare supper. Because the children, if it's in the day school, will be coming back home for supper. And then during also weekend, the children will be at home.
Yes.
The schools will be supported to be able to determine the amount of food for 5 days in a week. And that's what the parents pay for.
Okay.
The rest of the food should be able to remain in the household for the parents. And we'll make sure that we manage costs so that it's not a big burden for the parents.
So some parents may worry about, like you said, the cost, the contribution, and how would this be funded, especially when it comes to West Nile region?
Yes, we said in the beginning that the homegrown school model is what is recommended for the West Nile. And this model will have like 3 funding sources. Okay. The biggest funder for this model would be government allocation.
Okay.
So we are looking at government allocation to support the feeding of children. We are also looking at the support from the partners as the second source for this, especially the World Food Program. We have Windle International, for example, in the refugees.
In the refugees, yes.
When I was doing the assessment, there's URI, there is for Africa, there is Spice for Life. There is also Indian community, for example, in Koboko. Yes. You are contributing food to schools. So that is the second source of funding. But also we're expecting voluntary community contributions. And we say that if a child cannot afford to contribute, let the child continue to learn. Possibly the parents will know how to feed the children. In some situations, Yusuf, the parents pack food. They say, for my child, when you are going, there's some roasted cassava here, you put in your bag. So such child will have something to eat. In certain situations, parents give their children money. And there are some small canteens and selling points around the schools. So if the parent opts for that, then the child will have something to eat in school. But as a program, we would like to emphasize that we want children to eat a hot meal at school together. This thing of packing food and whatever is good, but it's not sustainable.
Most times it gets cold.
It gets cold, the plastics, the whole thing becomes wet. Sometimes it gets, it's the food of yesterday.
Yes.
And you are carrying it home because nobody prepares food in the morning. So we would really prefer that our parents contribute and the children eat a hot meal at school. Uganda has joined the Global School Meals Coalition and would like to look at the coalition for technical support. But under that joining, we made commitments. Uganda said we shall have a policy, we shall have a dedicated budget line for school feeding. So we are looking towards that.
Okay.
Our country has made commitments. They have told the world, for us, we want to feed our children. We are going to have a policy. Yes, it's in the process. We are going to create a budget line. We are going to mobilize the parents. We are going to get implementation strategy. So this all is going to help us mobilize the resources to feed our children. So definitely there will be minimal contributions and it will be voluntary. We are not going to say everybody command, because this decision will come from the school management committees. And the PTA and the school management committees will be the one to decide even what the children should eat and how much they should eat. And then we can technically cost how much each parent should contribute.
Okay. What about the issues of school infrastructure? Do you think the schools in West Nile region are equipped enough to be able to accommodate this program in terms of infrastructure?
For schools that have had some attempt to feed our children, they have some of the infrastructure that is required. And during the assessment, which we did in August, we realized some schools have got basic. It's really basic infrastructure. You have a kitchen. They are still using the 3 stones for cooking.
Yes.
And then the saucepans. Sometimes some schools are even using drums. There are a bit of challenges there. But what is required of this is that we need basic requirements like kitchen space.
Okay.
We need a store where to keep the food. We need an improved energy-saving stove to reduce the consumption of fuel wood. We need clean water and other wash facilities. That's just the minimum we need to start. Many schools will definitely start with existing facilities. And parents and OBs and all the partners will be mobilized to support the infrastructure development for school feeding. In some schools, we observe parents have even put, a kitchen with just the roof. And the food is being made. So we can start there, but of course improve, because we need to ensure that the food is safe. We need to ensure that there is food safety in our schools. So basic infrastructure for school feeding, yes, exists in some schools, and we'll build on that. But where we are moving and there's been no feeding completely, then we have to program for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You made mention that mapping has been done for West Nile region. You talked about going, you went to Koboko, you went to a number of other districts within West Nile region. How are things now as it stands? Okay, don't give us so much details, but just how are they now from the mapping that you've done up to now? Do you think we are there yet?
Yes, we are really doing preparatory work. We are also fighting against time, because next year when we are thinking about launching this program is not very far. So we are doing the mapping. We are profiling schools. We like to know how many schools are feeding, how many are not feeding, what are they feeding on, how many are public, how many are private, how many are community. We are doing all this profiling. How many have a kitchen, how many have water, how many have land, how much land. If children are eating, what are they eating, what's the source of this food. So we are doing all this mapping. And for now, what we are very interested is really to get in community buy-in. We'd like the community in the West Nile to appreciate this intention. We'd like them to take interest in it, so that together we can be able to design a program which is sustainable, but which can provide at least a hot meal for our children. So progress is ongoing, the documentation is ongoing, and we should be able to design by the end of this year a draft program for the West Nile region.
Okay. So you had made mention that we have joined the school, the School Meals Coalition.
Yes.
I would prefer to call it a School Feeding or School Meals Coalition.
School meals.
And, Uganda, as a country, is in the process of developing a policy to that effect. How does West Nile fit in all this, especially when the policy is developed and all that? Where can we fit in? where do we belong as far as this is concerned?
Okay. Yes, it is really historic events for the first time, and I think we're even the last in East Africa to join the global the global school meals coalition.
Yes, yes.
But better late than never. we joined. Rwanda was already there. Kenya was already there. Tanzania was already there. This is a body of governments that have committed to provide school meals to their citizens. So Uganda said yes, we will also want to join, and under the Global School Meals Coalition, government of Uganda made commitments. One of the very first commitments is that we shall have a policy on school feeding. We shall have a national school feeding program. We shall have a budget to finance school feeding. We shall have implementation structure. We shall coordinate school feeding. You know, we shall gather data and show evidence. So those commitments are there. And as a part of those commitments, government of Uganda is now developing a national school feeding policy. The policy that will create standards, the policy that will create guidelines, the policy that is going to have dedicated funding for school feeding program. So this policy is at internal approval process, after which is going to be submitted to Ministry of Finance for certificate of financial implication, and then it will go to cabinet for approval. Once it is approved, we should be able to have our own national school feeding program. So for the West Nile region, West Nile is part of Uganda. Once we have our national school feeding program, we will be able to upscale what we want to do now. This is already like a preparatory phase for the West Nile to jump into the national program. So once we start this sub-regional program for school feeding, by the time we get a national school feeding program, the West Nile will be one area for learning. Where we are not, we'll bring people.
Probably this may inform the policy formulation.
Policy, yes, it will inform the program formulation, like what type of program can we do? What do we need to do to feed our children? So West Nile is a part of Uganda, and we are very excited that if we can start from an area like this which has potential, then we should be able to draw lessons from this to go. We know that we have our Vision 2040 and we have NDP 4. And both of these frameworks are saying there must be a school feeding program. So this is the strategy that we want to use, especially linking school feeding to PDM. We would like to link the National School Feeding Program to PDM so that parents, for example, who are receiving PDM money should produce food and sell to schools. You know, you are having CD capital to produce something. Produce some potatoes, and then the nearby school to you will buy. So West Nile has opportunities, and we are thinking that when we have the National School Feeding Program, we should be one of the areas for learning.
Thank you very much. There are leaders at various levels. We're talking about the district leaders, we're talking about community leaders, and, you know, whether being elected or, you know, technocrats and all that. What can all these various leaders in these districts do to make this a reality?
Yes, our leaders really are called upon to appreciate that it is important to have our children eat at school. We need our leaders to carry the message, to advocate and to mobilize our communities to accept that feeding our children at school is not just a right, but it's a good thing. We need our leaders to mobilize our communities. They should join us really to reach out to the parents, to the school management committees, to the PTAs, so that the wider community accepts to provide a meal to our children. We would like, especially at the district technical level, that the district officials coordinate. Because school feeding is multi-sectoral, you know. It brings in food, it brings in health, it brings in water, it brings in latrines, it brings in a school garden. You know, it's multi-sectoral. It's not just...
Even retention capacity.
So it brings in security, safety. So it's multi-sectoral. And we want at the district level, there should be a structure for coordinating this. And
so that can only be deliberate now. The district should be able to do that.
Yes, and we will support the districts to be able to establish these structures. And the same structure should also be replicated in the school. Whereas we have the school management committees, the school management and PTA is supposed to establish a school food management committee that will work with the parents to mobilize and implement a school feeding program. Farmers, we are calling upon them to organize themselves into farm organizations, into cooperatives, so that together they can be able to supply food to our schools. And we know that districts like it has happened in Gulu, can formulate ordinances and bylaws.
Okay.
We can have a bylaw, for example, in Yumbe that demands that parents should contribute to feed their children. It can be a local bylaw. So we want to get the buy-in of our local leaders so that they can think about getting bylaws for their districts. Even at the sub-county level, it is allowed by the law.
Okay.
So a sub-county can have an ordinance saying, you know, every parent,
every school here must be fed by the parents.
And you must have a school garden, you know. That is possible. And these are some of the things that we like to support as a program. So we have roles to play.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if this comes to West Nile, would it be different from, you know, food aid or relief programs? So what makes this, you know, homegrown model sustainable?
You know, Yusuf, when you receive food aid, you become a dependent. The other person is the one feeding you. Your dignity is reduced. You don't have a right of choice. If they choose to bring soya, that is it. You non-stop. If it is beans, that is it. If they choose not to give you cooking oil, you eat what is given. So we are saying bringing food from outside is not sustainable. We would like to look at the home model. The food we eat is good food. You know, the thinking is that if the food comes from Kenya or from Europe, it is the same food. It's good food. Some of it is processed. It has been burnt with the machines. The nutrients have been lost over time. So we would like to support the homegrown school feeding model because we shall source the food locally. We shall build our capacity to produce food, and the money will remain within us. Let our partners, let our donors support us with the money, and we buy the food from our local people so that it is homegrown. We would like to change the relationship. We don't want to be the people who are receiving food. We would like to be the people who produce food. Yes, it's possible. We have the land, we have the people, we have the technology, we have the crops. So let's change the narrative from being recipients of food to producers of food. Yeah. And we produce this food to feed our children. And then we retain our dignity, we'll own the program, and this will lead to economic empowerment. When we see communities are active, then we know that they become the owners and the managers of school feeding.
Okay. You've had, it's a very, very interesting discussion we're having here on West Nile TV. If you're coming from Karuma to Pakwach to West Nile region, you realize that the tarmac road is damaged on one side, the side that comes to West Nile. That means the produce they bring to they only bring to West Nile things that they produce, and West Nile does not supply. So that is a very big thing that we need to change going forward, because next year is not very far. It's just a few days away, and so the school feeding program is going to begin. So for the farmers, I want to come back to you. For the farmers who are thinking of supplying schools,
yes,
what kind of crops should they think about? What is that particular thing that they need to know as they are thinking of supplying, you know, schools and all that? What do they need to know, and what particular crops should they have in mind?
Yes, for our farmers in the West Nile, and in particular those who are listening to this conversation, let's look at the priority crops. What do we need really our children to eat? We are looking at the regional diet, and in the case of the West Nile region, we are looking at maize, for example. We need to produce maize, we need to produce beans, we need rice, like I said earlier, we need groundnuts. If you can get the vines, let's produce the orange flesh sweet potato. Let's produce the vegetables, the cassava, the millet, and the sorghum. Those crops is what our children will need to eat at schools. But for our farmers, for it to be meaningful and easier for them to manage, let's form farm organizations. Let's join the cooperatives so that we can supply in bulk. You know, a school might want 5 tons of maize.
An individual may not be able
to give 50 bags. So we need to develop a team of working as farm organizations. Let's join as groups, even within our communities where the schools are located. Even if we look at the PDM beneficiaries, if you are 30 of you in the parish, why don't you form a farm organization? And
for
you
the
supply,
parish?
Yes, for the parish. And then you supply the schools that are in your parish or in the nearby sub-counties. We would like to encourage our farmers really to participate in our skilling programs, especially the post-harvest management. How do we ensure there is a good quality? How do we meet the standards to be able to engage with the UNBS? I hope there is UNBS in the West Nile. We should be able to engage them to go out to look at the stores of our farmers so that they can get the quality marks. Definitely, there will be negotiations on prices. The schools will be offering the amounts of food they want, and the school management committees and the farm organizations will be able to manage the pricing model.
Okay.
We would like to encourage women farmers, particularly, to join these groups, to join the farm organizations. They can produce some of the things we are talking about here, the vegetables, the potatoes, you know. Mothers can produce this and sell and make money. Let's start preparing now. Let's diversify the crops. Let's improve our storage, and let's connect with the cooperatives.
Okay.
And to me, that's the message.
Okay. All right. As we probably conclude our talk show this evening, what took you so long? This is a very interesting program, which, you know, probably somebody may think that it should have started yesterday and not today and not even tomorrow. So why did you have any challenges that it took you this long to start it this time?
Yes, Ministry of Education and Sports has always been thinking about school feeding. In 2018, our Minister of Education moved around the country. I'm sure she even came to WESTNILE.
Yes.
She was in radio and TV stations telling parents to feed their children. The biggest challenge has been, what do we tell the parents to do?
Okay.
How do parents contribute to feed their children? And now we are saying, yes, we have the model. It is the homegrown school feeding model. Let's use that model to contribute and feed our children. We really have our thoughts about the West Nile, and our vision is that every child going to school should be happy that he's going to have a meal at school.
Okay.
We want to look at the farmers. We really want to encourage the local farmers to be the backbone of the school feeding program. Like I said in the beginning, there is something called Karamoja feeds Karamoja.
Karamoja feeds
And we have been
Karamoja.
thinking about West Nile, and we said, okay, West Nile feeds West Nile's children. So we would like to do that. We want West Nile to feed its children.
Its children.
So West Nile feeds West Nile's children.
Okay. As we conclude, probably, what would be, you know, your message to the people? What would you like West Nile communities to understand about the potential of homegrown school feeding program, and what would be your vision for, you know, what would be your vision for education and nutrition in the region? Those two messages would be very key for the people.
Yes, I really would like to call our listeners and the wider community in the West Nile that this is an opportunity for the children, this is an opportunity for the families, this is an opportunity for the farmers, for us to join hands and ensure that our children eat at school. We would like to call upon all the parents to participate in the discussions, in the engagements at the school level, as you agree on how best we can feed our children. As a program, we are committed to engaging the different stakeholders. This is just the beginning. We'll be engaging the different stakeholders, really to be able to define what we can do. It's possible. If Karamoja can sustain school feeding, why not West
Why
Nile?
not West Nile?
And that's my message.
Okay. You said this will begin next year. Is there a specific time frame? Is it beginning in first term, second term, or third term of next year?
That is the framework we're working on because we are now at a design level.
Okay.
You know, when you design a program, then you go through the technical appraisals, then you take it to the donors, then you take it to government to approve. But the process has started. And we will be engaging and supporting those who are already even doing something as we move on to develop a national, to develop the West Nile school feeding program.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Yusuf. Please.
I hope you can come again and we have more of such inciting discussion. On,
I will be available.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, dear viewer. We've come to the end of our discussion this evening. It has been the Ministry of Education and Sports, and specifically my guest in the studio was Mr. Abele Joseph, my namesake. Of course, he is the liaison officer for the school feeding program in the ministry, and we've discussed a lot of issues, and you can as well go to our YouTube page. If you missed just a bit of it, you can be able to watch it and be abreast with the discussion that we had this evening. And we are live on Azam TV and also on Star Times as well. You can watch us every day anytime, any day. Please, thank you very much and continue watching West Nile TV. We're out.